Have you guys noticed all of the different products that are available now in beekeeping? It is insane. And by the thumbnail, I mentioned that there may be as many as 3,000 different products, could be more, available to beekeepers. Hey everybody, David Burns going to be with you. And today, like my thumbnail mentioned, I want to talk about whether these 3,000 products for beekeepers are really all that essential. Now I grabbed 3,000 just out of the air because, hey, I don't know for sure how many there are. There could be 10,000. Anytime you go to Amazon, look under beekeeping, or you peruse through vendor areas at different conferences, or if you look through all the catalogs of beekeeping catalogs today from beekeeping companies, it is like filled over the top with product. Now, when I started beekeeping nearly 30 years ago, I would say there's 80% more products available to beekeepers than there was 3 decades ago. And we want to talk about today whether that's really essential or not. Now, in the thumbnail, I did some math and I just posted it up there to kind of draw your attention. I want to explain it. I had 3,000, just a guess at how many beekeeping items there are today, minus 7, which I think are 7 essential things that beekeepers need. What are those 7 things? You got to have a bottom board. You got to have a brood box with frames in it where the bees are going to raise their brood. You need a honey super, either for the bees or for you to take off a little bit of honey. And you got to have a top cover. So that's the 4 things essential to the beehive. What are the other 3 things that you need? You need the smoker to help work the bees. You need a hive tool to help manipulate your frames and your boxes opening and closing. And you need this hat and veil. By the way, subscribe, please. Bobblehead David says, yeah, please subscribe. But you need a hat and a veil. So that makes up 7 things that are essential to beekeeping. Now you could say 8 things if you count the bees, but I was counting just kind of the products that you need to keep the bees. Now, what else do we really need beyond these 7 or 8 essential things? Well, I do like having a push-in queen cage. I think that's cool. I do like having a pair of gloves that I don't have to worry about getting stung when I work my bees. What is this fork for? I don't use a fork in beekeeping. I just brought it for a visual illustration of, let's take a look at this fork for a minute. Been around for a long time. We all use them. And it has 4 tongs on it. This one does. And it's kind of has that special bend in it. Do you see that? And you hold it like this and you eat your food. I'm hungry too. And you eat your food like this. Have you ever been to a restaurant before and it looks like your fork got ran over by a steamroller or something and it's just almost flat? You can't hardly hold the darn thing. It's like, I need a new fork over here. This one doesn't have the right bend to it and I can't use it. Leave a comment if you've ever wrestled with a fork like that. But my point is, how can we improve on this? How can we make this better? Can we? I mean, it's going to take a lot for you to try to sell me a better fork. It really is. I'm kind of glad that I like these gloves. They're better to me than just cloth gloves. Canvas gloves are a little bit better than just a pair of work leather gloves because they've got the longer sleeves and bees don't go up into my gloves. I started beekeeping when I started. I didn't buy fancy bee gloves. I had leather work gloves. But when I went like that, it would open up and a bee would get in there and I'd go like that, pushing on the bee, it would sting me. So some of these things are really beneficial to us. I like the size of this hive tool. Believe it or not, I didn't think I would like a hive tool this long. I don't know why. I kind of like it. I really do. I like these 2 different things here. I wish it still had a little curve to it so I could smash small hive beetle. And I'm sure there's probably something out. I know there's something out there like that. So all of these things that are coming about in beekeeping, they're making our lives better. I know. But are all of them making our lives better? All of them really need it? I think there's 3 reasons why we like to buy things that are new. I think there's 3 reasons beekeeping companies and businesses are making more products. I want to talk about it. The first thing is, for many of you, beekeeping is a hobby. You're not making your living on bees. So since it's a hobby, it is really fun to buy things for your hobby. I get it. I got a lot of hobbies. I understand that. One of the things I like to do, sometimes since I have so many hobbies, one of my other hobbies may start to kind of dwindle down and my interest may go out the window. And what I like to do sometimes is buy something new for my hobby because it rejuvenates my interest in my hobby. It doesn't it? It's just like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I think I'll buy something new and I'll start doing more in that hobby again. So let's face it, that's just fun to rejuvenate a hobby by buying something new. The second reason I think we buy things, and this is really a strong reason, is because when we shop, when we buy something, it releases endorphins and dopamine, and it makes us feel really good. We feel happy. I go to some bee conferences and I swear there seems to be more people in the vendor area than are listening to speakers because it's more fun in our brains to shop than to be listening to people talk. And so I think that's one of the reasons we like to buy things in beekeeping. Now, the third reason there are so many products and there's so many things and why we buy them is because it makes our lives easier and it makes things more fun. And I think those are two legitimate reasons. Not that the other two weren't, but this one really makes sense to me. For example, you know, when they came out with the green drone comb, a way to trap the Varroa destructor in the drone comb area, freeze it, kill the mites. That was kind of a cool thing. And so those things do make our lives easier and it makes things sometimes faster and more fun. And so more companies are releasing and producing more things in beekeeping to help us enjoy it. Now, one of the ways you can determine what things are necessary in beekeeping, what are really the important things to buy, I'm going to give you a secret. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to reveal all the things that you really need to buy. The other things, they're not really gimmicky, but they're just things that you probably don't really have to have, but they may be fun to have or fun to buy, and they may rejuvenate your hobby. But here's the secret on determining which ones you need. I would just suggest that you watch my past videos from last summer. Watch me work bees and simply just monitor, observe what I'm using. And I'm going to say you'll watch me wear these gloves, use a hive tool, use a smoker, use the pushing queen cage, a green drone comb. And so if you just watch those videos, you'll observe what kind of hat and a veil does David wear? Does he always wear gloves? What kind of gloves does he wear? You can watch the videos, not just of me, but of other people and see what they're using to actually work their bees. For example, does David ever use a frame puller? Do other beekeepers that you watch on YouTube, do they use a frame puller? It's a device, spring-loaded mechanism that you can open and close by squeezing your hand. I don't have one nearby, but you can actually hold it down on a frame, squeeze it, pick up a frame, and you don't have to touch any bees. Do you see people using those? They're available, and I'll tell you, I used one when I first started. So I'm not going to put it down as a useless item because I used it when I first started because I was a little scared of bees way back 30 years ago. And so some people may need that for a while until they build up their confidence. So just because some beekeepers are more experienced, it doesn't mean we need to laugh and make fun of and call every item stupid, because if we were brand new, we might really like to have that. When I was trying to make a living by selling honey, I had to buy all the expensive, big time honey equipment. I had 60 frame radial clutch extractors. I had big electronic fancy uncapping machines, chain driven, all that stuff. I had pumps and I had double walled honey storage tanks and big pipes running here and there, pushing honey around. Bottling machines. You just have to have that if you're trying to make a living. So you can see why all of these products that we see today, you might think they're unnecessary. You might think they're just overwhelmingly too high and too expensive. But for the people that are at that level, they're essential to them. When I got into packaged bees, we were shaking packages into wooden cages with screen. And my friend Charlie Linder took a beekeeping class right here. I think he actually started beekeeping after taking one of my classes here. Well, Charlie came up with the plastic bee bus. And I'm glad he did. I like the plastic bee bus now. We put all our bees in those. It's pretty handy because you can reuse them again. So depending on what level of interest, what level of beekeeping you're at, all of these different items are kind of important for the person that is in that walk of life in beekeeping, what they're doing in beekeeping. But I understand for the hobbyist, all of those things may seem just like overwhelming. When I was at the Bee Expo and I started walking through all the different vendors, I was just blown away by all the different things that are now available. It is just fascinating. I expect it to continue to grow. But no matter what you think about those things, I know some people came up to me, other people told me that there were some things there that were silly, that they would never use, that they didn't believe would ever work. I understand. Some people told me that. I'm not saying it. That's what some people told me. But there could be things like that because sometimes things just don't work out the way some people think they should work out when they make them. Beekeepers try them and they don't really work out that way. But nonetheless, let's don't be too critical. Let's be kind of thankful that some places, some companies, some people are trying to make things that would make beekeeping easier, make things better. Companies are kind of trying to come up with better ways to treat for mites, to trap small hive beetles, and all of us need things like that, right? All of us want something cool. All right, I'm going to give you an idea. Somebody's got to be watching today. I shared this at the Honeybee Expo with some of my friends. I'm going to give you an idea, and I know you can do it. And it will make you rich if you can come up with it, because we all want this item. This is the most essential things in beekeeping that is not thought of. It may be way over the top. You may think, that's never going to happen. But it will happen. Here's what we need. We need something about this big that we can put in a hive. I'm not being silly. Some people thought I was joking around. But we need something about this size that we can drop in a hive, and we can leave it in there for 30 minutes. And in 30 minutes, we can go back and take it out, and the queen, our queen, will be in here. Now just think about it for a minute. Don't call me crazy. I know maybe I'm born before the time or something, but this is something right here. I shared it with a few people and they were like, oh, ooh. So look at all the uses for it. Now I'm not talking about a push-in cage. That's what this is. I just use this for a size comparison. I want something small enough that can be dropped between frames that will draw her into it. And once she walks in, like the Porter Bee Escape has these two little flanges that when the bees walk out, they can't get back in. It's something simple like that. The queen is drawn in there. Now, what are the uses for this? Number one, if your hive's getting ready to swarm and you can't find your queen, drop this in there. 30 minutes later, she's captured. Now your hive can't swarm. If you have a tremendously defensive colony that you can't even open it up long enough to go in there to get the queen out because they're going to tear you up, drop this in there. 30 minutes later, take it out. You've got your queen. You can re-queen it, put a queen in there with calmer genetics, and transform how your hive's no longer aggressive. Walk up to a swarm in a tree, put the little device I'm talking about in the swarm, hang it there. 30 minutes later, you've captured the queen, the swarm's going nowhere. Or if you just want to know if you have a queen or not, drop it in there. 30 minutes later, you see her, let her out. Wow, wouldn't that be great? Some of you have trouble finding your queen, right? You have to look at every frame that injures bees, it kills bees. You're looking at frames and frames and frames. Drop this in there, come back in 30 minutes, see if she's in there. If she's in there, there's your queen, let her out. You know you have a queen. I know that sounds crazy, but there's got to be a way that someone out there, some company, somebody that's into pheromones, somebody that's into different types of ways that would attract a queen into a cage. You can do that. And when you do it, we're going to buy it. If that was available right now, I would pay good money for it because it would make things so much easier in my operation. It would make so much It would make things so much easier for catching swarms and the like. That's a product that would hit the market and sell like hotcakes for all the reasons that I just described. And there's many other reasons. And I know you're already thinking about it. Some of you are going to go to work and just start drawing it out, aren't you? Well, let me know. I don't want any credit, don't want any money, don't want any fame or fortune. Maybe I'm the first one that came up with the thought of it, but you do it, I'll buy it. Now, I realize that you may be kind of new to beekeeping, 1 to 5 years, maybe starting in the spring, and you don't know whether you should keep buying all of these things or not because it's expensive and you don't know whether you need them or not. Here's the way you do it. Start keeping bees first. Buy the essentials and keep bees for a year. During your year of being a beekeeper, your first year, just start keeping notes of things that you need to make your life more fun or easier or essential to what you're doing. Don't buy things before you know if you need them, thinking that you might need them. And just let the year, let the bees, let the seasons tell you what you need to buy. I do want to say that I enjoyed meeting so many of you at the Bee Expo. It was just unbelievable. In fact, I got there on Wednesday, but on Thursday and Friday especially, I met so many of you that watch my channel, and I want to thank you so much for stopping by my booth. That was just so kind of you to come by and meet me. Sherry and I stood there for 2 days to greet you, and you guys were so great. You brought us gifts, you showed your love and kindness to us, and you communicated to me and Sherry how much you enjoy watching our videos and how much of an impact we've had on you and your beekeeping endeavors. And we really appreciate that. That means so much to us, it really does. I don't take any of that for granted. I'm humbled by it. So many of you came by just rapidly. You were lined up and it was just beautiful. I really do appreciate it. I'm hoarse because on Thursday and Friday, I spoke to you all day long and I just talked and talked and talked to you. And it was so fun, but I practically lost my voice. I left early back to the hotel on Friday to regain my voice before I gave my talk Saturday morning because I was afraid I was going to lose my voice. But that's how much I enjoyed talking to you guys. Thank you so much. I love you guys and I really do appreciate you. And I hope you made it home safely. I hope you're recovering. For those of you that couldn't be at the expo, I decided to come out here and make this video because I like to, I'm telling you, my voice is still rough because I know that I want to stay connected with you guys that couldn't be at the expo. So I'm tired today. I'm recovering from the trip and all, but I want to come back and just be with you and say, I appreciate you guys watching the channel. Love you so much. And I made a new video last week that's really got a lot of traction to it. It's the things that we should be doing to our bees in the month of January. And I hope you'll check it out right here. What to do for January tips going to help you a lot. I got to go inside and take a nap or something. I'm going to take my fork and eat something first. Thanks for watching, guys.